Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening everyone. Leading the news tonight, community consultation performed in the wake of the shocking Commission of Inquiry health hearings has revealed a lack of trust in the Launceston General Hospital. State political reporter Josh Duggan joins me now. Josh, what's been handed down?
Kim, the LGH Community Recovery Initiative is a key part of the Child Safe Governance Review. After holding community forums and accepting written responses, they've made 8 recommendations aiming to restore trust. The co-chairs say there's a need for a new LGH management team with a recurring, overwhelming view those who were in positions of responsibility be held to account. There's already been significant turnover there and it's been recommended new leadership immediately work on cultural change. They've also recommended further staff training on reporting child sexual abuse incidents. The full Child Safe Governance report has been delivered to the Secretary of Health and Premier and will be released this week. A draft version seen by 7 Tasmania News makes nearly 100 recommendations. Kim? OK,
thank you very much there, Josh Duggan. Well, East Coast residents have come out in force at a town hall meeting about the current closure of St Mary's Pass and the plan for a long-term solution. They're also vocal about losing the town's only GP.
People power in action. St Mary's residents gather for a meeting with politicians and local leaders.
Realistically, we're a thriving little community that need access.
The federal member for Lyons, Brian Mitchell, teaming up with the state government counterpart John Tucker in a rare show of bipartisan support. Issues on the table, including St Mary's Pass, which remains closed due to October's flood damage.
But the talk here is we need an alternative route. We can't depend on St Mary's Pass and Elephant Pass into the future.
The pass is expected to reopen before Christmas. State Grove says it's in the process of constructing a 7-metre-high gabion wall to prevent future landslips. However, residents want a permanent fix as soon as possible.
We'll be looking for federal funding going forward when we find out which is the appropriate option.
It's just got to be open. We just wanted a guarantee that we're going to get an alternate route at some time and know that we're on the list.
Residents also raised the issue of the retention of the town's only GP, concerned they will lose a vital health service if they can't attract a replacement. Both MPs promising to find a solution.
If this community can't survive without a doctor, it'd be no doctor, no hospital, no childcare, no chemist, and people just won't come here.
We've got a number of places, even in my electorate, where we face a GP shortage, and where we have GPs, people are keen to retire or get more assistance.
Mark Zeta, 7 Tasmania News.
Harness racing stakeholders have spoken out against those in control of the sport, saying its future is in danger. They've written to the Minister to complain of poor communication and stewarding, but are still waiting for action.
Fearing for the future of the sport they love and their livelihoods, harness racing stakeholders wrote to Racing Minister Madeleine Ogilvie in September.
And now we're currently at 8 weeks since that letter of complaint's been with the department, and we're still yet to receive a response.
Expressing concerns about stewarding inconsistencies and their relationship with the Office of Racing Integrity, asking for the Director of Racing Justin Heimlich and other staff to be investigated.
They're not willing to listen on what the issues are. They're very much standing by the stewarding, even though there's a lot of times where similar racing incidents are being treated completely differently.
I don't see how a person who couldn't harness a horse knows what's going on out on the track.
Fair few members have got great concern. I mean, a lot of it's people's livelihood.
The Department of Natural Resources says an internal independent review into their concerns will be finalised in the near future. In June this year, independent expert Dale Monteith's review into the Racing Regulation Act was published. The government recently released its full response more than 6 months later and just before the Tas Racing GBE hearing began. A Tasmanian Racing Integrity Commissioner position will be created.
Now only accepting in principle a number of the very important critical reforms that Dale Monteith recommended for Tasmanian racing.
The Minister said the government had to ensure due diligence was undertaken, confirming their intention to introduce the most significant racing integrity reforms in decades.
To have our integrity side of our industry at its absolute optimum is something we really need and require in relation to that social licence out.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania is set to become home to the nation's first school of paramedicine under a new move looking to tackle workforce training demands. With the role now expanding beyond just emergency response, the state's university wants a model to enhance skills on the ground.
Performing under pressure with a life on the line.
Is pulse present?
No, it's still in the F.
The F. Confirm shockable rhythm. Hands away.
Yep.
Shocking.
Yep.
Back on the chest.
This simulated cardiac arrest is integral for paramedics in training. Now a new dedicated school is opening the door for even more opportunity in Tasmania.
The expansion in the role and scope of the profession within the Australian health workforce, moving beyond the role of emergency service responders, has prompted the move to create a school of paramedicine.
An Australian first, the state is leading the way to address industry challenges.
This includes the demands placed in health services, workforce shortages, increased expectations from the public and an ageing population.
With a specific tertiary program providing an alternative pathway for those who don't meet initial entry requirements.
Now we really are moving into a primary healthcare space, and that's reflected across all ambulance services in Australia.
Recent industrial action locally seemingly not deterring newcomers.
I mean, being a paramedic is a challenging role. I don't think anyone would disagree. For next year, particularly with workforce shortages, we probably have a 100% employment rate for our graduates.
It's hoped the expansion will encourage a portion of the students to continue their career locally, with the state enduring its own unique challenges when it comes to healthcare.
Increased ambulance demand, rising prevalence of chronic disease and decreased accessibility of out-of-hospital care.
The model will be introduced next year.
3, 2, 1.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
The state opposition has questioned the government on when a promised 250 beds will be delivered to the state's biggest hospital. It's claimed the Liberals are significantly underspending on the health system, pointing to new data on capital spend released as part of the Auditor-General's report.
There's $22 million less here at the Royal Hobart Hospital that should have been spent on capital infrastructure throughout last financial year.
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, we've delivered 225 beds since 2018.
Labor isn't convinced the budget management is delivering for Tasmanians. New mental health service has opened its doors in the state's south, aiming to help Tasmanians on the path to recovery. The Glenorchy-based college has been designed to improve mental health and well-being, providing extra education through a reform program.
Collaborative community connection. That's the underlying theme of a new recovery college opening its doors in Glenorchy today.
This is an amazing opportunity for somebody that has had lived experience in mental health and alcohol and drug use to learn a little bit more about their recovery.
Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe cutting the ribbon, signifying the first recovery college classroom in Tasmania. Welcoming extra education for Tasmanians in need.
An opportunity where we can support through education our consumers of mental health, people with lived experience of mental health, but also family, friends as loved ones as well, as we support each other on a person's journey of recovery.
It is a good initiative. We need multiple initiatives in this state to address the urgent needs that we have across the Tasmanian community when it comes to accessing mental health services.
Providing a safe space for people to share, learn and grow. The community can now access a range of classes with health and well-being, creativity, professional development and practical life skills key learning themes.
Capacity is around 14 per class, but that will actually increase when we move to the Recovery College moves to the Peacock Centre.
With the college courses designed as a collaborative effort.
Co-designing with the ATDC, Mental Health Family and Friends, Flourish, which is a consumer organisation for people experiencing mental health, and indeed educators and health professionals as well.
They actually get a say around what they're learning and what they're wanting to participate in courses. So it's co-designed, it's what they want to go through, it's what they want to achieve.
Providing a progressive recovery pathway through lifelong learning. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian parents are being warned about the dangers of gel blasters ahead of Christmas. Under state legislation, the blasters are considered firearms. Police also saying their external design is too close to real guns and could be mistaken for one.
You may well be a law-abiding citizen, but someone else might come across that gel blaster. They might take that from you and then they could be used to intimidate other members of the community.
Gel blasters are not toys. In Tasmania, they are classified as firearms.
Anyone who owns a gel blaster can hand them in voluntarily to any police station without prosecution. A new social and affordable housing development at Rochalee has been unveiled with the first sod turned today. Community Housing Limited, in partnership with the state government, will begin building 48 homes for Tasmanians on the social housing register.
There'll be all ages, from families through to elderly people who can't afford their housing and private rental.
We need to build more homes faster, and we have a plan to do that with 1,500 new homes by 30 June next year. We need to also include those wraparound services for the here and now.
Construction will begin after Christmas and is expected to be completed by the end of next year. A youth pilot program has launched with the Migrant Resource Centre joining forces with Cornerstone and the Link Youth Health Service to deliver the Our Community, My Future initiative.
The project will see youth case managers situated in each service, and then next year we'll be rolling out a series of life skills workshops, and then the young people will be responsible for co-designing a community-based project.
Young people who are at risk of disengagement, especially those from refugee, migrant and Australian-born backgrounds, can access the service. $700,000 over 2 years is being provided by the federal government. Tasmanian teenagers have set sail on a unique leadership adventure, taking to the seas for the next 10 days for the 14th Youth Leadership Challenge. Backed by Rotary and Windward Bound Trust, families gathered at Waterman's Dock to bid farewell to their sailors in training.
Second last day of the voyage, we hand the ship over to them for 24 hours to run. So they have to have learned something along the way. It's about sending them back as probably an awakened version of themselves.
I just thought it was such an amazing opportunity to, one, be on board and have such a unique experience, but also to be pairing up and mentoring newly arrived Tasmanians.
Young refugees who have newly migrated to the state are also on board, with the entire group set to undergo a test of true teamwork and leadership. An iconic Tasmanian summer event is growing its family-friendly capabilities as Taste of Tasmania launches a new dedicated area for children. A range of performers and childcare professionals will be on hand to provide the ultimate kid-friendly experience.
It'll be a bit of a secret area for kids where they can climb through a tunnel, come into a lovely little nature-based play wonderland.
We're really excited to partner with them this year to create the Little Hobart. It's a play on the Welcome to Hobart. We'll have Welcome to Little Hobart, a bit like the sign at the airport.
Tickets are already being snapped up, with the action now just 2 weeks away.
Hobart Hurricane star Heather Graham has made her international debut for Australia. In the second of the 5-match series, Graham bowled 3 for 22 off 4 overs. Both sides were tied at 187, setting the match into a super over, bowled by the Tasmanian. India set a target of 20, with the Aussies falling 4 runs short, levelling the series 1-1. Jack Jumpers guard Jared Weeks says the side's defensive culture powered their miracle win against Sydney last night. The players flew into Hobart this morning, still buzzing from their 26-6 final quarter, which powered them to a win over their arch rivals.
It's a weird feeling to be down 14 and still have a lot of confidence. I've said that a lot throughout the last 2 years, honestly. You know, we could be down any number of points going into the fourth quarter and all the boys are confident we're going to come out with a win.
The JJs now sit in 5th place on the NBL ladder at 8-6. Representative football will return to North Hobart Oval next year, with AFL Tasmania announcing the senior coaching appointments for each team. Deb Reynolds is looking forward to leading the women's sides.
To have the opportunity to represent your state on any level is a real honour, and it's something that I don't take lightly, and it'll be something that I'll give my utmost for. And
Maverick Weller will be the top gun for the men's. And a well-loved Tasmanian yacht race stretching from the north to the south is back for another year of energy on the waterfront. The 285 nautical mile Launceston to Hobart event will bring entries from across the country. Spectators and competitors will be well looked after as a popular Tasmanian business launches its Valley by the Sea village to ensure no one misses out on the action.
Where you can watch with Willies the progress of the race on a big screen and ultimately it's free entry, opens on the 24th and right the way through the sailing festive season in Hobart.
I think the race is a good race in itself because of the number of different weather patterns that they'll experience on the way through.
Boats will take on the challenging feat on December 27.
Good evening. 23 was the state's top in Devonport today, 20 across Hobart, Launceston and Burnie. Low Head and Smithton 18, 16 in Flinders Island and Lyoini 13. On the close-up shows cloudy conditions over Tasmania. Further out, a line of thunderstorms stretches across the north of the continent. Tomorrow shows a cold front and low pressure system moving over Tasmania. West to southwesterly winds tomorrow 20 to 30 knots, swells up to 4 metres in the west and south and up to 2.5 metres in the north. A gale warning is current for the central north coast, Banks Strait, Franklin Sound, Flinders Island and the east coast, and a strong wind warning for the far northwest coast, upper east coast and west coast. Tomorrow's forecast now, showers increasing across Hobart and Adventure Bay, 13 in Tarraleah. In the north, Launceston and Bridport 17, showers increasing in Devonport. Burnie and Strahan tomorrow showers, 13 in Marrawar. St Helens and Swansea 19 and windy with showers increasing at Whitemark. The UV forecast is very high 9s and 10s across the state. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now, Wednesday snowfalls to around 900 metres with possible hail about the south. Thursday showers about southern, central and eastern areas. And Friday showers about southern, central and eastern areas, mostly fine elsewhere. Capital cities 27 and partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow. Adelaide a possible shower and 34 in Cairns. And currently Hobart partly cloudy and 15, Launceston 17 and Devonport breezy and 16. That's all in weather tonight, Kim.
Thank you very much, Jackie, and that's all your news for now. We will have updates for you throughout the evening, but for now, it's good night.